A symphony.
You're looking good, Fred. You must know a lot about fashion, right?
Yeah, I'm Whitey Herzog, the manager, and I live in Independence, Missouri.
My name's Jim Wolford. I play left field from Visalia, California.
My name's Otis, center fielder. I live in Toronto, Canada.
George Brett, third base, El Segundo, California.
Al McRae, the hitter, Avon Park, Florida.
John Mayberry, first base, Motown, Detroit.
Al Collins, right field, Los Angeles, California.
Frank White, second base, Kansas City, Missouri.
Fred Potsek, the shortstop. I'm from Seguin, Texas.
Buck Martinez, catcher from Sacramento, California.
Andy Hassler, pitcher, Phoenix, Arizona.
Is 19 in a row.
You know, that's something that I didn't particularly care for. I think the most I ever lost was 8 games. And I felt like I just didn't want to go out to the ballpark. Steve Carlton in 1 year lost 19 ball games, and he just didn't want to go out there and pitch anymore after that. We had something like 2 or 3 games left in the season, and he was supposed to start. He didn't want to pitch. He finally did pitch the last day of the season, and he lost his 20th throw. It's something that you don't look forward to.
So he didn't want to go out to the mound and take a chance of losing that 20th ball game. And here's Andy Hassler, who lost 18 in a row. He's now come back to win 4 in a row. He was traded from the Angels to Kansas City after he was 0-6. There you see Dave Duncan, the traveled catcher. He's played with Cleveland, he's played with Oakland, and now with Baltimore. Defensively, for Baltimore, Singleton in left field. And Paul Blair will be in center field tonight. He hasn't been used that much because he hasn't been hitting this year. Reggie Jackson in right field, and of course, we saw the story of Reggie, brewed here in Baltimore. In the infield tonight, Doug DeCinze, the heir apparent, of course, and now has taken over for Brooks Robinson at third base. Shortstop, Mark Belanger, who finally made the All-Star team after 13 years in the major leagues. Bobby Grich, former quarterback, could have played for UCLA at second base for the Orioles tonight. And at first base, Lee May, a gentleman you faced, Bob Gibson, many times in the National League. And there you see behind the plate, Dave Duncan. When you faced Lee May, there you see the starting pitcher, Rudy May, no relation to Lee May. Lee May played for Cincinnati and Houston when you faced him.
Right. He started off with Cincinnati, went to Houston, and to be truthful, we were really happy that he got traded out of the league because that guy was a problem.
Lee May. Rudy May, no relation. Rudy May now in his 9th year, of course, started the season with the Yankees, came over in that 10-player deal involving Holtzman, Martinez, Pagan, Jackson, Hendricks. He's 10-9 now. He's 6-6 with Baltimore. In his last start, he beat Oakland 9-4 last Wednesday. However, he's only 3-7 lifetime against Kansas City. Bob, when you had a lifetime record against a club, I've always wondered about this. How important is a lifetime record in that the club changes over the years? And really, is that a significant statistic in baseball?
I don't think it means anything. Like you said before, you go out there and you face a different ball club just about every year. For some reason or another, if you have a so-called hex over one ball club, it seems like it stays there. You can throw your glove out and still beat the ball club. But as far as the statistics are concerned, I just don't believe in them.
All right, what about Rudy May? How would you describe Rudy May as a pitcher?
Well, Rudy used to be an extremely hard thrower. But, of course, you know, like every other pitcher, after a few years in the league, you stop trying to throw the ball by hitters and you start learning how to pitch. Rudy May is basically a breaking ball pitcher. He moves the ball around. He keeps the ball down, and that's the only way you can win here.
Rudy May from Coffeyville, Kansas. The first batter for Kansas City, Jim Wolford. Now, this is Wolford's 5th year, and he's playing a little more this season than he has before. He's hitting a .226. He platoons in left field with Tom Poquette. And the first pitch of the game is outside for a ball. The umpires tonight, Joe Brinkman behind the plate, Greg Kosk at first, Nestor Shylock, the veteran, at second, and Jim Evans at third. The 1-ball pitch to Wolford. Popped him up. Rich and Belanger take your turn. Belanger takes it, and there's 1 down. So Wolford pops to Belanger, and that'll bring up Amos Otis. Now watch Amos Otis. He will completely obliterate the batter's box. He will completely wipe out the chalk. Now watch this. A habit of Otis. He'll begin with the side. There he goes. Wipes out the back. He'll take care of it. And if I'm the groundskeeper, I've got to say, what did I go to all this trouble for in putting in a batter's box for Otis to wipe it out?
If I had been pitching, it might have made me a little mad there, too. I don't know why he goes through all that stuff, but he does it. Guess there's nothing to do about it.
Otis having a good season, 294, leads the league in doubles, 74 runs batted in. Amos Otis. And he hits well against Baltimore. He's 12 for 34 this year against the Orioles. That's a .352 average. And that'll be a base hit up the middle as Amos Otis continues to hit Baltimore pitching. He's now 13 for 35. And talk about a guy who hits well against Baltimore. Here he is, George Brett. Brett this year, in the 9 games between the Orioles and Royals, Brett has 17 hits in 35 times at bat. That's a .485 average, George Brett.
You know, there's a difference between the American League and the National League. The National League, he'd be laying on his back a few times.
You think they throw at him more, huh?
Oh, a little bit.
And that's the first strike of the ball game by Rudy May.
Got Amos Otis on first over there, and he likes to run. And one time they had said that he was a better base stealer than Lou Brock. I think I'd have to see that first to believe it.
I think a lot of people would dispute that. Otis has 24 out of 29 stolen bases. Could be a double play. Gritch, Belanger, no throw. So Brett on the fielder's choice. 4 to 6 if you're scoring. Otis forced at second. 2 down. Brett on first. And that will bring up the Major League's leading hitter, number 11, Harold Abraham McRae. Hal McRae hitting at .355. Now, Bob Gibson, here's another fellow you faced in the National League.
Yeah, he was always a good hitter. Of course, Cincinnati gave him up, but they always have the knack of coming up with another good ball player, so they really don't miss him, even though he leads the league.
You know, as amazing as it sounds, as Brett takes a short lead off first, you would have to actually wonder where would Hal McRae play on today's Cincinnati ball club.
Well, I guarantee you, when you have a guy that can hit like that, they'll find somewhere to put him.
But who would you bench?
Well, some of the guys probably never would have came into their own like Greason.
There goes Brett as McRae fouls off the pitch. Brett has stolen 17 out of 26 attempts this year. Now, McRae cannot run well. He pulled a muscle on the 15th of July against Boston, running the bases. And he has limped down the first for a month, and he runs a little better now, but he has a pulled muscle, as most muscular players do. That's the trouble when you're muscle bound. You're going to pull those muscles sooner or later. The 1-1 pitch to McRae. What about you, Gibby, as a pitcher? Did you pull many muscles?
Yeah, I don't think it had any, or however many. Your muscles get tired, and when they get tired, they have a chance of pulling a muscle.
Lee May holding Brett at first. The pitch to McRae. 2-2 to Hal McRae. This is McRae's 8th year in the majors. First 4 with Cincinnati. Came over to Kansas City in the deal for Wayne Simpson, with Wayne Simpson, for Roger Nelson and Richie Scheinblum. Remember Richie Scheinblum? Was a good AAA ball player, but really never hit as well in the major leagues.
Well, we never had any problem with him when he came over from Cincinnati because they didn't let him play.
2-2 to McRae. Left field, Singleton coming in. And that's it for Kansas City. So the Royals go down in the first inning No runs, 1 hit, no Baltimore areas, and 1 runner stranded. With Baltimore coming to bat on the home first, Kansas City, nothing.
You like garage sales because you can find such great buys? Then you'll really like the biggest garage sale of them all. Your Chevy dealer's annual garage sale. So if you've been waiting for the best time to buy a 76 model, this is it. You'll likely get some of the best deals you can get on some of the best cars and trucks you can get. Chevrolets. You like that idea? Chevy thought you would. So come on down to your Chevy dealer's garage sale now.
Let's get ready to blow her.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Now comes Miller time. It takes as much skill to bring down a building as it does to put one up. And now's the time for the best tasting beer you can find. Miller High Life.
If you've got the time, we've got the beer.
Here's what you made room for.
Miller beer.
And now the Baltimore batting order as they introduce themselves, and first, manager Earl Weaver.
Born in St. Louis and now reside in Baltimore, Maryland.
Tommy Harper, designated hitter, Boston, Massachusetts.
Bob Gritch, second base, Long Beach, California.
Reginald Jackson, right field, Oakland, California.
Lee May, first baseman, Birmingham, Alabama.
Ken Singleton, left field, Ile-Bizarre, Quebec. Doug DeSense, third base, Valencia, California.
Mark Belanger, shortstop, Pittsfield, Massachusetts.
Paul Blair, outfield in Los Angeles, California.
Dave Duncan, catcher, Dallas, Texas.
All right, the first Baltimore batter, the designated hitter, Tommy Harper, who's been around. 35 years old. This is Harper's 15th year in the major leagues. He's only played 38 games and hitting a .203. I guess you faced Tommy Harper, too, Gib.
He's another one of those guys that played at Cincinnati. They seem to come up with some pretty good ball players.
I think that's a tribute to the scouting system and the farm system.
That's for sure. And, you know, and if they didn't come up with a good ball player, they'd go out and buy one. So they have a pretty good system working over there.
Andy Hassler. He'll be 25 years old in October. And what a turnaround he has made. In case you have not followed the career of Hassler, he came up with the Angels in '71, and through '73 he was 0-7. He finally found himself in '74 and finished 7-11. 2-2 to Harper. He finished with a 2.61 earned run average and was looked upon as the Angels' certainly top 3 starters. In '75, he won his first 3 out of 4, and then the roof fell in. 2-2 to Harper. Inside, almost hit him. Hassler proceeded to lose 11 straight. He finished 3-12. Bobby Gritch on deck. The start of the season, Hassler lost his first 6. He lost 17 in a row over 2 seasons. The Angels traded him. 3-2 to Harper. Swing and a miss, strike 3.
Here's a perfect example right there of the difference in the American League and the National League. You know, they talk about players that have better ball players, but the players aren't any better. He threw a 3-2 curveball. In the National League, he could almost be assured of a 3-2 fastball.
Bobby Gritch hitting a .274 this season. This is Gritch's 5th year as a regular. Remember, he moved Davey Johnson out of second base. Continuing the story with Hassler, after he was traded to Kansas City, he lost his first game to make it 18 straight games lost, 1 shy of the record. He's now won 4 in a row. Right center, Cowens has it in range. 2 down. Al Cowens, the right fielder for Kansas City. Now listen to the greeting for Reggie Jackson.
Well, it seems to me that those fans that booed him the other day is not here tonight.
Kind of a mixed review. Reggie Jackson, now in his 10th year.
Reggie loves it. He says if they boo me, at least they're paying attention to me.
2 outs in the Oriole first, no score. That'll be a base hit to left field, dropping in front of Wolford. So Jackson singles to left field, and that'll bring up the Orioles' #1 home run and RBI man, Lee May. Lee May, not much with the average this year at .239, but again, 23 homers and 84 runs batted in. He's 1 behind Bando in home runs and 1 behind Chambliss in runs batted in for the American League lead.
You know, you talk about a hitter's effectiveness. When a guy only hits .234 or what have you, and he drives in 80 runs, and he must be some kind of hitter.
Jackson has stolen 19 out of 25, and there he goes. He is in there with a stolen base. Reggie Jackson.
There he goes. He got a real good jump on the pitcher. Of course, you think Reggie didn't know this was national television? That's why he took off.
That's 20 out of 27 for Reggie Jackson, and of course now in scoring position with 2 outs and the 1-ball pitch to Lee May. No score. The Orioles batting in the bottom of the first. Kansas City and Baltimore. Kansas City with an 8-game lead over Oakland. Oakland plays later tonight against New York. Hassler looking in for the sign from Martinez. The 1-ball pitch. Let me ask you something, Gibby. When you face Lee May, did the waving of the bat distract you at all? Was it hard to keep your concentration?
No, that doesn't bother you at all because you should be watching the catcher. Some pitchers do use the hitter as a strike zone also, but you watch the catcher. You pay very little attention to that bat.
He looks like an overhand Vic Power when he does it. Vic Power used to do an underhand. See that? Wave that bat. 1-1 to Lee.
You know, a while ago you were talking about Lee May driving in 80-some runs. Well, Reggie Jackson still on second base like that is the very reason why he does have all these runs. These guys get out there and get on second base, and then that's when he gets his hits.
One ball, 2-strike pitch to Lee May. Jackson on second with 2 outs. Hassler's pitch to May. High for a ball. Here you can watch Lee May wave the bat.
Looks like he's stirring butter.
2-2 to Lee May. He got him. So Hassler strikes out Harper and May to retire the side. So the Orioles do not score. 1 base hit, the single by Jackson. They leave 1 man on in scoring position after 1 full. Baltimore nothing, Kansas City nothing.
Dear Bill, I'll be late, so start dinner about 6:30. Take the chicken out of the freezer. Put it in our new Amana Touchmatic radar range oven. Set 16 minutes touch defrost. Okay, set 25 minutes cooking time and start. It's simple. It's so automatic, the clock will come on when you're done. Love, Mary.
The Amana Touchmatic radar range cooks with split-second accuracy and uses much less electricity than a conventional range.
In the summertime, when the weather is hot, you can stretch right up and touch the sky.
Don't let an overheated car spoil your summer drive. Have your independent Texaco retailer check your car's cooling system regularly and protect it with Texaco antifreeze and coolant. No other coolant of this type protects better against boilover, and it helps prevent rust and corrosion all year long. Texaco antifreeze and coolant.
Billy, meet Chris Case, our new anchorman. Hi.
We've already met. Your aftershave. It got here about 5 minutes before you did.
Don't jump.
Actually, I was going to ask you to wait out there.
Funny.
Can I make a suggestion?
Suggest.
Linen Skin Bracer aftershave. It's got a nice, clean smell. Not too perfumey. It doesn't arrive before you do.
Thanks, I needed that. Chris Case, Skin Bracer.
Remember?
I don't believe we've ever met.
Skin bracer doesn't get there till you do.
Now join us 1 week from tonight for more action here on ABC's Monday Night Baseball. Next week, you'll be seeing the Los Angeles Dodgers take on the San Diego Padres in San Diego. And if the pitching rotation follows, then Randy Jones, who won his 20th game earlier last week, will pitch for the Padres. Plus, the always exciting rivalry between the Red Sox and the Yankees. So that's ABC's Monday Night Baseball 1 week from tonight, beginning at 8:30 Eastern Time over most of these ABC stations. Consult the local listing and the game in your area. This is John Mayberry, right field. Easy play for Jackson, and there's one down. Well, we really didn't have time to say it, Bob, but there's another guy you faced in the National League, John Mayberry.
Right. Mayberry was extremely young when I faced him. I think it was his first year. Of course, he got traded out of the league. Harry Walker, who was the manager down there, wanted to make a Punch and Judy out of him, and he wanted to hit home runs, so they traded him.
Walker wanted to make Mayberry a singles hitter?
A 255-pound ping hitter.
Well, Walker usually, I think, is correct on his hitting theories. I remember he helped Matty Alou win a batting championship one year. Helped hit it out, but that's amazing. This is Al Cowens, the young right fielder. This is Cowens' third year, and really this is his first full shot this season. Al Cowens. And that's a fair ball. He'll get an easy two-base hit out of that. Cowens will get a stand-up double as he runs into second base. A two-base hit for Al Cowens.
You know, you look at this Kansas City ball club, and you don't see any one man doing an extremely outstanding job. Everybody does a pretty good job. They play pretty good defensive ball, and they have fair pitching. And that's the way you win a pennant. You hardly ever will see this ball club with some superstar. At least they haven't had one so far. Of course, I guess Mayberry would come as close to anybody.
Yeah.
He's having kind of an off year, but he probably would come as close as anybody being a superstar.
This is Frank White, the second baseman, of course, a graduate of the now-defunct Kansas City Royals Academy. This program is being brought to you as an exclusive presentation of ABC Sports. Let's pause 5 seconds now to allow our local stations to identify themselves. The one-ball pitch to Frank White with Cowens at second base and one out. White hitting at .227. One of the best bunters on the Kansas City Ball Club. And I'll tell you something. The way Doug DeCinces is playing at third, I wouldn't be surprised, even with a one strikeout and one out, to see White lay it down. Look where DeCinces is playing, deep in back of the bag.
Well, if he lays one down right now, you got to kick him in his pants. You got that man out there in scoring position. He's got to be whacking at that thing. I've seen it done, though.
There's DeCinces. Deep in back of the bag. Cowens leading off second with one out. 2 balls and a strike to Frank White. And he goes to right field, foul. White hit .250 last season. And he is the first to admit that without the Kansas City Royal Academy, he would not be in the major leagues today. The scout said, no, kid, you'll never make it.
Well, I've known a lot of those scouts to be wrong, too. Lots of them.
2-2 to Frank White. And that'll right field. Jackson base hit. Cowens will score. And White will go into second with a stand-up double. So doubles back-to-back by Cowens and White put Kansas City ahead 1-0.
Talking about scouts, several years ago when I was being scouted, I was trying to sign for a big bonus. One scout told me that there's no way I could get a bonus because he didn't think that I could make AAA ball club.
Was that after you had played for the Harlem Globetrotters or before?
No, that's when I was still in college. I played with the Globetrotters the first year that I signed. Actually, I played baseball first, and then I played basketball that winter. kind of supplying me with a winter job.
This is Freddie Patek, the smallest man in baseball, only by stature, 5'4", 140 pounds. 9th year in the major leagues. Came over from the Pirates, and I guess here's another guy you faced, didn't he?
Right. Asked Patek one day, how's it feel to be the smallest man in the major league? He says, well, it's not as bad as being the smallest man in the minor league.
Or the biggest guy in the minor league. Outside to Patek. Let me ask you something, Bob. Was it difficult after facing a tall man to have Patek come up? Did you have to rearrange your strike zone?
Oh, yeah, it's easier to pitch to a taller guy than it is to him, but at that particular time, he didn't have a good strike zone. You throw that ball up there, and he'd hack at it, so it wasn't that tough to pitch to him. He's a much improved player now.
White at second, 1 out. Kansas City leads 1-0. 2-ball pitch. Patek, right center. Blair, long run. He's got it. Paul Blair, who many people have believed for years is the best defensive center fielder in the American League, bar none.
You know, when you have a ball player like that can play like Blair, I think you would have to make concessions sometime for his hitting. If he wasn't hitting up to par, I still think that he could do you as much good out there in the outfield as anybody else. Therefore, he has to play. He can make up for not hitting by playing that great defense.
Blair having his worst year in the major leagues, hitting at 199. This is Buck Martinez, the catcher.
Maybe I'd want him to hit a little bit more.
Well, you even hit better than that.
Well, at times I did.
Huh? You hit 303 one year when you were pitching for the Cardinals.
Oh, yeah. I love to swing the bat. I wouldn't like that designated hitter bit.
Martinez hitting 250. Frank White at second base with 2 outs. Kansas City leads 1-0 on back-to-back doubles by Cowens and White. Now, the pitchers like Martinez. They say they like him behind there. He gives them confidence. The 1-strike pitch to Martinez, right field. Jackson has it in range, and that's it for Kansas City. But they do score 1 run on back-to-back doubles by Cowens and White. So with the Orioles coming to bat in the home second, it's Kansas City 1, Baltimore 0.
Back when Allstate was just beginning to insure homes, we learned some important lessons from the things we saw. We saw brush fires that plagued the West. We saw tornadoes that visit the Plain States each year. The hurricanes of the Gulf Coast. And we also saw that no regular claims operation could handle a major disaster. So Allstate set up specially trained disaster teams, trained to be on the scene within hours with the authority to start settling claims, even for total losses. In 1974 alone, these Allstate teams handled 55 major disasters and settled more than 95,000 claims for people who didn't expect it to happen to them. At Allstate, we'll continue to prepare for the things nobody expects to happen.
Jimmy!
And that's a promise from the 30,000 good hands people of Allstate. A promise from Joe, Joyce, Julie, George, Susan, Ray, Jackie.
All right, the Kansas City defense tonight. Young Jim Wolford in left field. The center fielder, the one-handed, all-reliable Amos Otis. In right field, Al Cowens, who doubled in the previous inning. The infield for Kansas City tonight, George Brett, hitting at .333. Freddie Patek at shortstop, the former Pittsburgh Pirate. Frank White, doubled last inning, second base. And at first, Big John Mayberry. Buck Martinez behind the plate. And, of course, number 16, Andrew Earl Hassler on the mound. The Orioles in the bottom of the second will have Singleton, DeSensei, and Belanger.
Singleton's another ball player I faced over in the National League. He played with Montreal.
That's right, and with the Mets.
Right.
Singleton, switch hitter. Now, here, there is a difference in Singleton batting right-handed and left-handed. Right-handed, Singleton is hitting .204. Left-handed, .288. 84 points different hitting left-handed. Kenny Singleton. Right center, a lot of balls to right field tonight. Cowan's backpedals, does an imitation of Amos Otis, and there's one down. Who was the first guy outfielder you ever saw catch with one hand? Did they do that with the Cardinals? Does some ball clubs say, hey, you got to catch with two hands?
I've seen so many ball players with the Cardinals, I can't remember. We ran through some players.
Now, of course, it's a common sight.
You know, you may notice that most of these hitters are hitting that ball out there to right field, and the reason for that is because Hassler is keeping the ball on the outside part of the plate. They can't pull it.
Doug DeCense, cut off by Brett. Throw to first, 2 down for the Orioles. 5-3 if you're scoring, 3rd to 1st.
I always like to tell, I always like to tell stories about Harry Walker. Harry Walker, he'd teach you to hit that outside corner if you were a pitcher. Then he'd teach that hitter how to go out there and hit that ball. Something was wrong there.
Mark Belanger. In his 10th year, I believe I said his 13th season. 10th year for Belanger. Belanger started off strong, now hitting a .269. Never a power hitter, of course. 1 home run, 34 runs batted in. Belanger replaced Louis Aparicio. Seems the Orioles have always had a strong shortstop. Ron Hansen, Billy Hunter, whom we see down at third base there. Willie Miranda was a shortstop here. Chico Carrasquel.
You know, you'll find out that any ball club that won the pennant year after year usually had a pretty good shortstop, second baseman, and center fielder. They got to be strong up the middle.
Pitch to Belanger. Patek charges. And that's it for Baltimore. 1, 2, 3. Fly out, 2 ground outs. And after 2 complete innings here at Memorial Stadium, it's Kansas City 1, Baltimore nothing.
First 100 years, all we brought out of this mine was Levi's blue jeans. Tough as nails. But then we struck a whole new vein. Now look, new fabrics, new colors, and new styles. They all come from the same place as those blue jeans, so they're bound to do right by folks. Because here at Levi's, we put a little blue jean in everything we make.
Chevrolet asked Chevette owners how they like their cars.
It has a wonderful turning radius.
We're a very tall family, and we wanted a small car. We tried many cars, including the Rabbit, and we couldn't fit in. I'm 6'2", and my husband is 6'5".
Well, it's a lot quieter than I thought it might be.
Well, I like it because I can put both my German Shepherds in it.
It's everything I thought it would be.
Chevette by Chevrolet. It could make you a happy owner, too.
Watch. Hank will hang up his coat, pet the dog, kiss me on the cheek, and then say,
I'm hungry.
Thank heavens for Hungry Man dinners from Swanson, like their Hungry Man chopped beef steak dinner.
Hey, 2 broiled chopped beef steaks.
That's right. Swanson already put the second helping in. Try Swanson Hungry Man dinners.
Broiled chopped beef steak.
The next best thing to your good cooking, Swanson makes it good.
Kansas City will have Wolford, Otis, and Brett. You know, there you see Darrell Herzog, Whitey Herzog. The players affectionately call him Stein, and there's a reason for it.
Of course, we have a good bunch of guys, and we're try to keep them pretty loose, you know, and we've not got the kind of people on our ball club that have to be chewed out every day. Once in a while we have to do it, but not very often. They go out every day and they battle and they scratch, and I've been very pleased since I've been here how they've responded to me, and as long as we can joke around, that's fine with me.
You don't mind them calling you Frankenstein?
I don't know. Didn't know it stood for Frankenstein. I just thought it was because I was German, you know. But no, really, Warner, it's been a pretty good deal here, and I'm just real happy to have this ball club.
Whitey Herzog explaining the little nickname they have for him. What about some nicknames in your playing days, Jimmy, for managers and players?
We call them a lot of things. Sometimes you can't, I don't think we can mention most of it out here, but, I don't know, I'd have to think about that a while. We called Red Shane, used to call him Huck.
Huck?
Yeah.
Huckleberry Finn?
Right.
Jim Wolf Wolford batting in the Kansas City third. They lead 1-0. Right field again, out of play.
Sparky Anderson, they call him Captain Hook.
Oh, yeah. Takes out those pitchers. They used to call...
They call him the Little General.
Little General, right.
Yeah.
And Belanger, and he was ready to backhand it, and it went over his glove. I would assume they'll score a hit. Especially since the game is in Baltimore. Base hit for Jim Wolford.
Looked like it did take a little bad hop there.
So Wolford leads it off with a base hit. And here's Otis, who singled in the first inning. Otis now 13 for 35 against Baltimore this season. Kansas City has won 6 of the first 9 games played between these ball clubs, with 3 to go. So they cannot lose the season series. In case you're looking ahead to the Kansas City Yankee series, Kansas City won that series 7 games to 5. Amos Otis coming into this game hitting .294. Wolford has stolen 18 bases this season, thrown out 10 times. Otis came over with the New York Mets in 1970 in a trade for Joe Foy. 7th year as a regular now, .281 lifetime. Amos Otis. One strike pitch to Otis. Brett is on deck.
You know, I was just thinking about what you said about Otis, and you see a guy like that, a great ball player, and the Mets are still looking for pretty good ball players, and you wonder
and looking for a out center fielder.
That's right. You wonder what goes on in their mind when they get rid of it. Of course, you know it when they're young. You don't know how they're going to develop, but they're impatient.
Of course, when Otis was with the Mets, they tried him out at third base. 1-1 to Otis. Foul ball. Reds and Cards 1-1 in the first inning. Gullett against Denny. And, of course, it was Denny who beat the Reds last Monday night. Phillies and Astros scoreless in the first. Christensen against Larson. Phillies lead by 12. The Reds lead by 9. 1-2 to Otis. Oh. So Rudy May fans Otis, and that'll bring up George Brett. You know, Bob, just looking at this lineup, Otis hitting at .294, Brett hitting at .333, McRae hitting at .355, followed by John Mayberry with the RBIs. Really, that is one of the best 2, 3, 4, 5 batters in baseball today.
You just about have to have that if you're going to win the pennant. You'll notice that most ball clubs, either if they're win the pennant or in their second place, they'll have the meat of their lineup hitting 300, and of course the guys driving in runs. You just about have to have that. Of course, you got to have a couple of pitchers that win 15, 20 ball games. You look at St. Louis Cardinals and you look down the lineup and you see 1 or 2 guys hitting pretty well. You don't see any pitchers that have over 12 or 14 wins, and that's the whole story.
Left-handed hitting George Brett from Glendale, West Virginia. Boy, Brett had an incredible streak this year when he had 6 straight games, 3 hits or more in 6 consecutive games. Al McRae, the on-deck hitter. (1-1) to George Brett. Wolford at first, 1 out in the Kansas City third. The Royals lead 1-0, and Brett steps out.
Now, there's a little thing there that I just really didn't care for when I was playing. I'd be out there ready to throw, and by the time I got ready to deliver the ball, the batter would step out, and the umpire would say, time out. I think there should be a time and point where the umpire will not call timeout.
So you're saying, in other words, once you're in your motion, then that's it. The batter should not have a right to call timeout.
Right. He went into his stretch, and he had started his delivery toward home plate.
1-1 to Brett. Bob, Reggie Jackson has been thrown at a lot this year. He's been hit in the face. Doc Ellis hit him in the face. It seems to me that it's almost unfair in the American League to throw at a batter because the pitchers don't come up anymore. You can't retaliate by throwing at the pitcher.
Well, you can't change. I think that guys have to be brushed back. Actually, throwing at a guy, I think that's wrong to try to hit a guy. But to brush him back, you have to do it regardless of whether you're playing in a league where you hit or you don't hit. You got to go out there and do a job. And I think the only way you can do a good job pitching is to loosen these guys up, move the ball around on them.
You never tried to hit anybody?
No. I've hit guys, a lot of guys.
But all accident?
Well, I guess you can't say that they were really accidents because you're trying to come inside close enough to the guy where you're going to brush him back. If he gets hit, then you don't think about it. You know, well, okay, he got hit. But to intentionally throw a ball at a guy and try to hurt him, I think very few guys try to do that. It may be done, but I don't know of any that's done it. When you hit a guy, you don't think the consequences, is it going to hurt him real bad or is it going to hurt him a little bit? You just throw it.
2-2 to George Brett. Wolford at first, one out in the Kansas City third. And there goes Wolford, the throw to second, and Wolford is out. A good throw by Dave Duncan, and Brett put it on him. So that's it for Kansas City. They do not score in the third inning. No runs, one hit, no errors, none left. Bottom of the third, Kansas City 1, Baltimore nothing.
Sears National Automotive Values. Sears rolls back regular prices on Sears' best-selling steel-belted radio with the heritage of the world's tough roads. Up to $67 lower on sets of 4. And if you need new shocks, ride on into Sears. Sears heavy-duty shocks are on sale now, just $4.99 each. You save over 30%. Only at Sears.
The shower massage by Waterpick is America's favorite. Here's why.
Oh, feels like somebody's massaging my back.
Oh, this would be great. This would be better than a cocktail.
This would be better than soaking in a hot tub.
It seems like 1,000... Like 1,000 fingers in massaging me.
Get America's favorite, the shower massage by Waterpick.
That's me, Fred Lynn, making the catch of my life. And that's my buddy, Jim Wright, snacking one to the stand. Baseball is not the only place where young people can show their stuff.
Today's Navy offers young men and women first-rate training and challenging jobs.
Plus travel and some real adventure.
So get on the ball.
And join the Navy team.
For more information, call your Navy recruiter toll-free at 800-841-8000.
Preceding a message on behalf of Major League Baseball. As you see, Bobby Grich in the Oriole dugout. Hey, we invite you to join us this Saturday night for another NFL game as the Houston Oilers travel to Texas Stadium in Irvington and take on the powerful Dallas Cowboys. Dan Pastorini from the Oilers up against Roger Staubach. And it's billed as the Battle of Texans. NFL football Saturday night beginning at 9 o'clock Eastern time over most of these ABC stations. So the Orioles come to bat in the home third. This is Paul Blair. Brett struck out to end that inning, and Duncan threw to Grich and put the tag on Wolford to complete the double play. Blair, as we pointed out earlier, having his worst season in baseball, hitting at 199. George Brett, just in case Paul Blair decides to lay one down. Although with a 2-strike count, I think he might surprise a lot of people. He's playing a little close for a 2-strike count, isn't he?
Sure is. I'll tell you why they do that. Blair is not what you would consider a pulled hitter. And anytime you find a guy like Blair that hits the ball up the middle and the other way, third baseman will usually come in a step or two.
That's called the cheating in on him a little bit.
Yes.
1-2 to Paul Blair. This is Blair's 12th year Still only 32 years old. I remember one year Blair opened the season. It was 1971. He opened as a switch hitter. He started the season switch hitting, but gave it up in May.
Long about now, he's probably wishing that he was still a switch hitter.
1-0, Kansas City, Baltimore on the home third. The pitch to Blair, he got him. That's 3 for Andy Hassler, 3 strikeouts, and that'll bring up Dave Duncan.
Hassler is mixing his pitches extremely well. He's got that good changeup going for him, and you notice that he's throwing the changeup when he's ahead of the hitter, hardly ever throwing it when he's behind the hitter.
Duncan, who came over from Cleveland in the Boog Powell deal, hitting at .209. Played 5 years with Oakland. Kansas City scored the run in the second inning on back-to-back doubles by Cowens and White, and that's been it. 1-0 Kansas City. We're in the third. Oakland plays later on the coast tonight against the Yankees. Going into tonight's game, Kansas City leads Oakland by 8 with 33 to play, including 6 against each other the last 9 days in September. Boston leads Texas 6-1 now in the 5th inning. Tiant going for his 16th.
Warner, you know when you're chasing the ball club, you want to play them. You don't want to play anybody else because you can't depend on somebody else beating them, so you want to play them head-to-head.
Right. Well, you didn't play. All you see the on-deck batter, Tommy Harper. How many times did you meet the Phillies after you were down by 11?
I think we had 5 games.
5 games to the Phillies.
Yeah.
2-1 to Duncan. Popped him up. Wolford in, Patek out. Patek calls, and there's 2 down.
Remembering back in 1964 when we were playing the Phillies, they came into St. Louis, and we beat them a 3-game series, and then they left, and they went to Cincinnati, and Cincinnati beat them 2. And that's how we won.
This is the well-traveled Tommy Harper. Harper struck out in the 1st inning. Harper came up with the Reds, was traded to Cleveland, traded to the Pilots, actually drafted by the old Seattle Pilots, moved to Milwaukee, was traded to the Red Sox, was traded to the Angels, and picked up by the Orioles. 35-year-old Tommy Harper.
My God, and with all that traveling, he must be about 70.
The pitch to Harper. Brett, 1 hop, throw to first, and that's it. Another easy inning for Andy Hassler. So after 3 complete, it's Kansas City 1, Baltimore nothing.
The Alaskan Pipeline. 800 of the toughest miles man has ever conquered.
Quitting time!
And up here, quitting time is Miller time. Time to head for the best tasting beer you can find. America's quality beer, Miller High Life.
If you got the time, we got the beer, Miller beer. Miller Bar! Belly up there! We got the beer.
It's not just athletes that get athlete's foot. Innocent men, women, and children can get it too, just by coming in contact with it. And man, does it itch. Well, the first itch you feel, you spray on MP27. MP27 will kill that athlete's foot fungus and help keep it from coming back. Believe me, I've seen a whole lot of scratching going on. MP27 is the end of the itch.
I know, you're not getting a terrific shave from your electric razor. Maybe there's nothing wrong with your razor. Maybe there's something wrong with your face. Your beard is just laying there. Make it stand up with this. Williams Electric Shave. Look, every leading razor manufacturer tells you, use a pre-shave. Most people use electric shave. It gets your beard to stand up, so your razor shaves closer and with less irritation. Williams Electric Shave. Makes your beard stand up. Makes your razor shave better.
You know, a lot of designated hitters do different ways to prepare themselves while they don't play the field.
First of all, if I know the pitcher, I don't sit on the dugout bench that much. If I don't know the pitcher, I try to sit there for a couple of innings. I try to run a lot. If I get a sweat going, I try to hold that sweat. I try to stay loose.
Where do you run?
At Kansas City, we have a tunnel I can use. In the newer ballparks, we have tunnels. In the older ballparks, I use the bullpens a lot. When the inning change, I run back and forth. I think the most important thing is to be as loose, being a designated hitter, as you would be if you were playing in the outfield. And I think that's where a lot of guys have the problem, because they maybe read the magazines or sit on the bench. You can't sit and be cold. You got to be as active as you were if you were in the ball game. And I think that's the reason why I've been having a lot of success doing it, because I'm never stiff when I go to the plate.
Hal McRae explaining his theory on being a designated hitter.
I agree with him. It's almost the same theory as pitching. That's why pitchers throw warm-up pitches.
Oh, off the knee of May. Good recovery. Throw to first, and they get McRae, remember, who cannot run full speed. Otherwise, that's a base hit.
There's tremendous reflex play on May's part. You see that ball come back to that box, and usually you're off balance. He jumped right on it. He threw it off balance. Of course, the throw was in the dirt, and Lee May made a fine play over it first.
Once again, Hal McRae pulled a muscle way back on July the 15th. He has not been able to run full speed since. In fact, he stole his 20th base in that game and hasn't stolen one since. And has not played a game in the field since. This is Mayberry, who flied out to right in the second inning. Big John coming into this ball game with 13 home runs and 82 runs batted in. A one-strike pitch to Mayberry. You know, Bob, I have always felt that the most underrated category in baseball is runs batted in. I personally think it's more important than batting average and home runs.
Yeah, I agree with you. 100%. Those are the guys that win in the ball game. You know, there's a guy named Joe Cunningham several years ago when I first started. He won the batting title. He hit something like .337, and he drove in 38 runs. You know, so then what's the use?
Don't tell Joe that. On deck, Collins has Mayberry out of play. A ball and 2 strikes on John Mayberry. Mayberry, his last 4 years, has averaged 27 home runs and 94 RBIs per year. I'll tell you something unusual. Mayberry is the only American League player to drive in 100 or more runs in 3 of the last 4 years. He's the only player. To Mayberry, and Blair will not get this one. A base hit for Mayberry. So Mayberry gets the 5th hit off Rudy May, and that'll bring up Al Cowens, who doubled in the second inning and later scored on the double by Frank White. Rudy May came up in the Philadelphia organization and was traded to the Angels way back in 1964 for Bo Belinsky.
Bo Belinsky. He played with the Cardinals, too. I think everybody played with the Cardinals.
The pitch to Cowens. If you're thinking of Mayberry stealing, forget it.
The only thing you can do there is...
All right, Bob, what about you see the third base coach, Chuck Hiller?
Yeah, he's not giving anything. The only thing you can do there is...
All right, Bob, what about you see the third base coach, Chuck Hiller?
Yeah, he's not giving anything over there. You watch him. He's trying to fool somebody. The only thing he could possibly give here is a hit and run, because Mayberry can't run.
Mayberry has stolen only 3 bases all season. Were you ever used as a pinch runner, Bob?
Sure was. I pinch ran a lot of times until I got hurt one time, then they decided not to do it anymore.
And May making Cowens look bad, saying that Cowens went around that time. You know, Jim Cott was hurt this year. Watch that pitch again. See if Cowens goes around.
Oh, yeah.
Sure. Not even close.
Nah, he swung at that.
Of course, we can...
Umpire saw it too, evidently.
Yeah. The first time. 1-2 to Cowens, and he goes for an outside pitch, pops it up, and Gritch will have it for the second out. Jim Cott was used as a pinch runner this year and hurt himself and missed 2 turns.
I can recall, I can't recall what year it was, but I slid in second base, and I hit the shortstop. I ripped his knee open. He had something like 14 or 15 stitches, and I had a sprung ankle for about a month.
Who was it, you remember?
It was against Chicago. I can't recall the shortstop. It was so long ago. Try not to remember back that far.
It wasn't Kessinger, huh?
No, this was before Kessinger.
Before Kessinger. This is Frank White. White doubled in the only run of the ball game in the second inning. So Mayberry at first with 2 outs. Kansas City leading 1-0. We're in the 4th inning at Baltimore. In that Oakland game, it will be Alexander against Norris, New York at Oakland, starting on the West Coast later. Boston leading Texas 6-1 in the 5th inning. Blyleven has been knocked out for the Rangers. Tion in there for Boston. And Minnesota leads Milwaukee 2-1 in the 1st. Augustine against Redfern. Redfern has been knocked out. Or rather, right, Bergmeyer in there for Minnesota. A ball and 2 strikes to Frank White from Greenville, Mississippi, 25 years old. Yesterday, Frank White had a single, a double, and a home run. And add his double tonight. So White, in his last 5 times at bat, has a single, 2 doubles, and a home run. 4 for 5 for Frank White.
I've been watching the way they're pitching him. He chokes up a lot. He stands right on top of the plate. Therefore, I would be reluctant to throw him a lot of breaking stuff, but they seem to be going with the breaking stuff to him.
1-2 to Frank White. Oh, almost hits it. Man, what a move to get out of the way of that one.
I think Rudy may have heard me out there. The ball right up under his feet.
Oh!
Just about hit his back foot. Now, right now, the thing to do would be to come back with a fastball inside, but I guarantee you he's going to throw him a breaking ball, and he's going to be looking for it.
2-2 to Frank White. You called it, Bob. Blair. And that's it for Kansas City. So the Royals do not score in the 4th. No runs, 1 hit. No Baltimore errors, 1 left. We go to the bottom of the 4th. 1-0, Kansas City.
The gas pumps connected to our pipelines.
Our pipelines connected to refineries.
Refineries connected to our oil wells. Texaco connects them to you.
Every part of Texaco is connected to every other part to get you the quality gasoline and oil you need wherever you are.
Our oil wells connected to refineries. Refineries connected to our pipelines. Our pipelines connected to the gas pumps. Texaco connects them to you.
We're working to keep your trust.
I like my chicken finger licking good.
I like my chicken finger licking good.
Whatever Lila likes, Lila gets. And Lila likes her chicken finger licking good.
Well, of course I like my chicken finger licking good. Is there any other kind of chicken?
I like my chicken finger licking good.
Real goodness from Kentucky Fried Chicken.
This Saturday on ABC's Wide World of Sports will be the 300-mile late model stock car race from the famed Daytona International Speedway in Daytona Beach, Florida. Also, Wide World of Sports will be in Philadelphia for the National AAU Weightlifting Championships, featuring competition in the heavyweight and super heavyweight classes. Plus, from the Royal Lytham and St. Anne's Golf Club in England, you'll be seeing this year's Curtis Cup Golf Championship. That's ABC's Wide World of Sports this Saturday, 5 o'clock Eastern and Pacific, 4 o'clock Central Time over most of these ABC stations. This is Gritch leading off for Baltimore. The Orioles trail 1-0, bottom of the 4th. They have only one hit off Andy Hassler. Single by Reggie Jackson in the first inning. And Jackson stole second, was stranded at second as Lee May struck out. That's been it for Baltimore.
Warner, something you don't see much, and you used to see it a few years ago, when a ball club faced a pitcher like Hassler and they couldn't hit him, they would bunt a little more. They try to do anything to get on base, but now it seems that everybody lays back and waits for that big inning. It never happens.
Good point. Reggie Jackson on deck. 1-1 to Gritch, and that'll be a base hit. The second hit off Hassler. So Gritch leads it off with a base hit, and that'll bring up Reggie Jackson. Sparse but enthusiastic crowd here in Baltimore tonight.
I guess Reggie's happy about that, because the fewer people, the less people to boo him.
Rich at first, leading off with a base hit in the bottom of the 4th. Reggie Jackson has had a rough year physically, hit in the face by a pitch from Doc Ellis. Has hit the deck numerous times this season. The pitch to Reggie. Correction on the Western Union wire, if you're keeping track of the other scores. Redfern is pitching for Minnesota. So it's Augustine against Redford. 2-1 Minnesota in the first inning over Milwaukee. The pitch to Jackson. Reggie talking to himself. There's Lee May on deck. He even waves the bat on deck.
Perpetual motion.
One, two, throw to first. A lot of bugs here tonight, Bob. Let me ask you something. As a pitcher, did that ever bother you? Look at all those bugs.
No, I don't think it bothers the pitcher nearly as much as it bothers the hitter. Sometimes he might swing at one of those bugs flying things and think it's a curveball. Love it. Throw right behind the bug's ear.
Hassler with a 1-2 to Jackson. And that's it for Reggie. Joe Brinkman says that's it. Reggie says, come on, Joe, it was a little low.
Yeah, I think I would agree with Reggie right there. I think we can take a look at that ball. Curveball. Yeah, he caught the ball. You notice when the catcher caught it, his hand went down. That ball was pretty low. But then the umpire's always right. He says, please, Mr. Umpire, I beg to differ with you.
So that's it for Reggie. Strikeout number 4 for Andy Hassler as Reggie puts his batting helmet into the slot. And Lee May swinging a miss. May struck out in the first inning. Hassler has struck out 4, walked none, given up only 2 singles to Jackson and Gritch. 1-0 Kansas City. Gritch on first. Lee May waving the bat.
A guy like Lee May, you call him one speed. He has one speed of swing. You throw a curveball or a changeup or a fastball, it doesn't matter. He still swings the bat the same way.
Does that make it easier for you as a pitcher?
Yes, it does. You can trick him a little more. Of course, he gets the bat on there often enough to drive in some runs.
Lee May, the older brother, of course, of Carlos May. 2-strike pitch to May, and there it goes to the left field. It's a foul ball. Gritch around second, heading for third. Hunter holds him up at third. May's into second with a double. The Orioles with runners at second and third and 1 out.
There's a case of the pitcher outsmarting himself. You know, he's getting away with that ball away from May. Fastballs away, breaking balls away, and all of a sudden he decides he wants to come inside with a fastball. And a guy like Lee May is always ready for a fastball inside, always.
So Andy Hassler in his first rough inning. Runners at second and third, one out, and this is Singleton.
Here's a look at that pitch right here. There it is, right inside. Of course, he wiggled that back one less time that time. Right down the line. Of course, the rest is history. Double.
Wolford playing it off the wall. Rich at third. May at second. Singleton flied out in the second inning. Singleton from New York City. Hit an even 300 last year.
He's one of the few hitters that hits the same way regardless of whether he's hitting left-hand or right-handed. You pitch him inside both ways.
Orioles trail 1-0. Second and third, one out. Singleton, ground ball. Patek charges. Only one play. That's at first. Rich scores and the game is tied. Give Singleton an RBI. So Singleton, who was hitting only 185 the 1st of June, upping his average to 265 and is now 49 runs batted in. This is the Sensei. The Sensei coming into this ball game hitting a 241, grounded out in the second inning. 1-1. May against Hassler, Kansas City and Baltimore. Lee May held second base. 2 outs, May at second. There's May, your base runner at second. Not a fast man. It would take a good base hit in the outfield to score May from second, even with 2 outs. Popped him up. Mayberry calls for it. Big John has it, and that's it for Baltimore. But the Orioles break through with a single, a double, and a ground out. After 4 complete, Baltimore won, Kansas City won.
96% of all Chevy trucks registered in the
bug pitch. Is that terrible?
Yeah, it is. But I'll pretend I didn't hear it, Bob. 1-1, top of the 5th inning, 2 outs. Wolford at second. 2 balls, 1 strike pitch to Amos Otis. Up the middle, that'll get through. Wolford will score, and Kansas City leads 2-1. So Amos Otis now 2 for 3 and a run batted in. The 7th hit off Rudy May. And Otis, look at Otis singling up the middle.
That ball come up the middle. There's nothing you can do about it. The pitcher is usually falling off one way or other on the mound, and he's off balance. And unless the ball is hit on the side where your glove is, it's almost impossible to catch that thing.
Otis now 14 for 37 in the 9 games against Baltimore. 14 hits and 37 at bats.
You know, you would think that they'd walk the guy or something.
Get rid of him. Here's Brett, who's 0 for 2. Now, Brett was up there with McRae as recently as 3.5 weeks ago for the batting title. They were each around the 350 mark. McRae has stayed there. McRae hitting 355, but Brett has dropped to 333. The 1-strike pitch to Brett, out of play. There you see Dave Pagan, the former Yankee, warming up in the Oriole bullpen. Came over in the same trade with Rudy May.
You know, it's really tough when you're pitching a ball game like this where he's pitching a pretty good ball game, but they don't get any runs. So you give up a couple of runs and already somebody down there cranking in the bullpen. And you don't feel real good as a starting pitcher when that situation happens.
2-strike pitch to George Brett with Otis fakes the run to second. Let me ask you something, Bob. As a pitcher, I would think that must have been one of the toughest things to do. Not ignore the base runner at first, knowing he might steal, and concentrate on the batter, but certainly you had to be conscious of it.
Well, see, I've always said that when a pitcher worries more about the guy on first than he does the guy at home, then he's in trouble. And when I got a guy on first, I was aware that he might run, but I had to concentrate on the hitter.
Priority went to the hitter.
That's right. Of course, you know, in a situation like this, the catcher will call a different type of ball game, too, because he got a guy on first, second run, and a lot of times he'll start calling a lot of fastballs, which, you know, aggravate you.
Otis has stolen 24 out of 29 this year. The pitch to Brett, right field, Jackson coming in, and that's it for Kansas City. But they break the tie with a double and a single. And as Rudy May walks off the mound, we go to the bottom of the fifth. Kansas City 2, Baltimore 1.
Hey, Pete Rose!
Consecutive ball games over a 2-year period. I asked him earlier if he ever thought of quitting during that period.
Well, there were some shaky moments there, but I always thought that I would eventually break the streak. I'm sorry that it went so long, you know, and it was, I think most of it, I just put a lot of undue pressure on myself, and that probably hurt me more than anything. And getting traded over there, I started a 0-0 record as far as I was concerned, and I think that really helped me.
Andy Hassler, who seemingly has turned it around since the trade from the Angels to the Royals.
You know, a lot of times when you lose those ball games, it's not necessarily your fault either. A lot of things are involved.
Spoken like a true pitcher. Here's Belanger, who grounded out in the second inning. Belanger, Blair, Duncan, and possibly others for Baltimore. The Orioles trail 2-1. Don't you think over a career, as you see Paul Blair on deck, over a career, Bob Gibson, and you won 251 ball games, don't you think it evens out? Some games you weren't as sharp, you won, and some games you really had it, but the team didn't score for you and you lost?
I'm an ex-pitcher. The answer is no. Never evens out.
Never evens out, huh? 2 balls and a strike to Mark Belanger. Kansas City leads 2-1 with 1 in the second and 1 in the fifth. Hassler against Rudy May. Belanger, fly ball left field. Wolford has it in range, and there's 1 down. You might have seen that patch of dirt in left field. That's because the Colts played an exhibition football game here, and there you see it. They tore up the turf. Here's Blair, who struck out in the 3rd inning. Bob, what about the season they lowered the pitching mound? Weren't you one of the leaders of speaking out against that, as I'm sure all pitchers were? But Blair, Patek, 2 down.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I think that particular year, when I had an ERA of 1.12, Drysdale had an ERA about 1.8, and had several other pitchers with good ERAs, I think that was the reason why they did tear the mound down. And the next year, of course, I didn't have that good of a year, but it was very difficult to try to adjust to it. And I still think it should be up.
Once a pitcher, always a pitcher.
That's right. Raise it back up 5 more inches and go get them.
Here's Duncan, who popped out in the 3rd inning. Dave Duncan. Did you have a particular catcher you wanted when you pitched, Bob?
I pitched with Tim McCarver most of my career, and it didn't really matter. I just hated to change catchers in the middle of a ball game.
1 ball pitch to Duncan, primarily because of what?
Well, catchers call different types of games, and you're going into a ball game, and because your head's 15-0, they'll bring another catcher in, and he'll start calling a different game. You know, like your best pitch may have been a fastball or a slider, and he starts calling out of breaking balls and breaks up your concentration.
He's got his own idea.
Yes.
On deck, Tommy Harper, number 12. 2-1, Kansas City leading, bottom of the 5th. 7 hits for Kansas City, 3 for Baltimore. Nobody on, 2 out. 3-0 to Duncan. And there has not been 1 walk in this ball game. Excellent control so far by both May and Hassler. 3-1 to Duncan. That was a foul tip also.
Hassler is dazzling them with breaking stuff, and then when he gets them looking for that curveball, he throws that high, hard one, and it probably looks like a BB coming up there.
3-2 from Hassler, who has not walked a batter. Boy, I saw that Reds-Phillies game yesterday. The Reds tied it in the ninth on a strikeout and a pass ball. Rose scored from third. That ever happened to you in a ball game?
Lost the ball game on a pass ball?
On a strikeout.
Oh, yeah. I don't know if I lost the game, but I've gone 2 or 3 games where I struck 4 guys out in the inning because of the pass ball on the last pitch. Sometimes those curveballs that are hard in the dirt are hard to catch.
3-2 to Duncan. And Brett, long throw. That's it. So the Orioles go out 1-2-3. Easy play, easy inning for Hassler. And at the end of 5 complete, it's Kansas City 2, Baltimore 1. We'll be back with more baseball after this word from our local station.
This is ABC.
Join us 1 week from tonight for more action here on ABC's Monday Night Baseball. Next week, you'll be seeing the Los Angeles Dodgers against the San Diego Padres in San Diego. And if the rotation continues the same, then Randy Jones will pitch for San Diego next Monday night. And the Red Sox and the Yankees in New York. That's ABC's Monday Night Baseball 1 week from tonight, beginning at 8:30 Eastern Time over most of these ABC stations. Consult your local listing for the game in your area. Kansas City in the 6th inning will send up McRae, Mayberry, and Cowens. McRae 0 for 2. Flied out and grounded out. You'll recall he hit a ball off the knee of Rudy May in the 4th inning. All right, and you'll recall that the only reason he was out, of course, because McRae cannot run full speed. McRae in the last 2 seasons has hit .310 and .306. A bona fide 300 hitter now, Al McRae. From Avon Park, Florida. Before he was injured, McRae stole home twice this season. Goes to right field, out of play. The pitch to McRae up the... Oh, good play by Rudy May. Excellent reflex. Good balance by Rudy May. And speaking of Rudy May, I've heard about odd injuries, but here's a guy who broke his arm when he tripped over his dog, Rudy May.
Well, it was one night my wife and I were in the bedroom having something to eat, and I was taking the bowls back to the kitchen, and I had my dog, our family dog, that was on the kitchen floor, and I accidentally tripped over the dog and fell on my left elbow. My right wrist hit the ground, and I wound up breaking both arms.
How about that? Broke his arm and wrist tripping over his dog in the middle of the night.
He said broke both arms?
Yeah. This is Mayberry, who's 1 for 2. Speaking of broken bones, I've always wanted to ask you this, Bob. 1967, in a game against the Pirates, I think it was the late Roberto Clemente, hit a ball off your leg and broke your leg, and you continued in the game and finished the inning. Mayberry, right side, Gritch, 4-3 if you're scoring.
You know, Warner, when the ball comes back through the box or wherever it comes and it hits you, it deadens the area. It deadens the area where the ball makes contact, and you don't know really that your leg is broken. All you know is that you have a little sting there, and I didn't know that my leg was broken. I pitched to 3 other batters, and when I had a 3-2 pitch on the last hitter, I tried to strike him out, and I actually popped the bone in half, so it was just cracked a little bit, but you just don't know that.
Here's Collins, who takes it for a ball. Collins, 1 for 2, doubled in the second inning and scored on White's double, the first Kansas City run. So you finished the inning on a broken leg.
Right. And they're always doing things to make things better for the hitters. That's why I say they ought to put that mound back up.
You came back and finished that season and then pitched in the World Series.
Right. I wanted to see, you know, if I could pitch, and I pitched 6 innings the first time I came back.
It was the game you pitched in the series against Santiago, and Santiago hit a home run off of you?
That ballpark, he hit a pop-up and it went over the fence. Boston.
It's a good thing you're not partial, Bob. The pitch to Collins. You had your share of home. You had 24 home runs.
Yeah, but I hit mine in big parks.
Ah. Well, they were all in National League parks.
No, both of them is American League parks, matter of fact. I hit one in Boston over the center field wall.
Oh, you're talking about World Series then?
Oh, yeah. I thought you were talking about Santiago. Yeah, I like to hit home runs.
Well, they used you as a pinch hitter.
A couple of times.
3-2 to Al Collins. We're in the 6th inning. Kansas City leads Baltimore 2-1. 7 hits off Rudy May, 3 hits off Andy Hassler. To Collins, and that's up the middle, base hit. So that's 8 hits off Rudy May.
Rudy's starting to get the ball up quite a bit now. That ball right there was a hanging curveball. It didn't appear to have a lot on it. And when you start getting the ball up, sooner or later they're going to have to start jerking you. Even though the ball game is still 2-1, you're in trouble when you start getting those pitches high in the strike zone. I think you can see right here. As a matter of fact, it was so high it jammed the hitter.
It's coming right at our center field camera. That's what it looks like from the eyes of the center fielder. So Collins is on first with 2 outs. Here's Frank White, who doubled in the first Kansas City run. He's 1 for 2. And there goes Collins, and a base hit, beautiful hit and run. And Collins will go to third. There it was, perfection. Belanger went toward shortstop to cover the base. The base hit through the hole, vacated by Belanger. Beautiful hit and run.
You'll see that a lot of times. Usually when you're a youngster, they'll tell you when you hit and run, if you're a right-handed hitter, hit that ball to the right side of the infield. But you'll see that the shortstop was covering second base. So you try to hit that ball in the hole where the shortstop should have been.
9 hits now off Rudy May. The Oriole bullpen up again. Duncan talking with May. Let me ask you something. There you see him. Dyer Miller, number 37 for Baltimore. Did you ever, in all honesty, get excellent advice from a catcher in a situation, or was it more to calm you down or stop your rhythm or something when a catcher went out to talk to you?
Yeah, I don't think the advice that he gives you is anything other than to remind you of situations. Because you know most of these things yourself anyway.
Collins at third, White at first, 2 outs. Patek, fly ball left field. Singleton will have it, and that's it for Kansas City. So the Royals threaten but do not score and lead 2. No runs, 2 hits, no errors, 2 left. 2-1 Kansas City in the 6th.
With a flame that burns bright, the #1 light is the one and only cricket.
Saludos, amigos. This is the Noble Cricket Lighter, America's favorite disposable. And this is the Gallant Super Cricket, slim, pencil thin, a stealer of hearts. Both are dependable, adjustable, and packed with thousands of lights. Cricket, our Super Cricket Lighter by Gillette.
The #1 name in surefire flame is the bone you take off. Cricket.
Gillette presents Track 2 Shave Cream. It's different than ordinary shave creams because Track 2 is Gillette's before and after shave cream. Before you shave, it softens whiskers for the smoothest shave possible. After you shave, special aftershave conditioners keep your skin soft and smooth. Conditioners that fight aftershave dryness. Track 2 Shave Cream with aftershave conditioners.
Warner Wolf along with Bob Gibson here in Memorial Stadium, Baltimore. At the bottom of the 6th inning, Kansas City leads 2-1. Hassler against Rudy May as you see the Oriole dugout. There's Terry Crowley with his jacket on. Bam Berger, the pitching coach for Baltimore. Join us this Saturday night for another NFL game as the Houston Oilers travel to Texas Stadium and take on the Dallas Cowboys. Dan Pastorini of the Oilers up against Roger Staubach of the Cowboys, and of course the Battle of Texas. That's NFL football this Saturday night beginning at 9 o'clock Eastern Time over most of these ABC stations. Hassler here in the 6th inning will face Harper, Grich, and Jackson for Baltimore. Harper is 0 for 2. And a credit to both pitchers, there has not been one walk in this ball game. In fact, only 2 3-2 counts. Look at Harper's stance. Almost looks like he's off balance. Harper was 2 for 3 yesterday, single and a double as the designated hitter. 2-ball pitch to Tommy Harper.
You know, I'm watching Harper stand there, and you know, he's standing a little bit like Willie Mays used to stand. Just a little bit. Yes, sir.
Bends the knee. And Harper, 2-2.
Of course, it might be a different than results.
Well, he's got half his number. 12. Harper, one of only 5 men in baseball history to hit 30 home runs and steal 30 bases the same year. And Mays was one of those. Rich on deck. Harper.
Bobby Bonds was one of them. I don't remember all of the guys. I know Bobby was.
Aaron did it.
Hank Aaron.
And a guy named Ken Williams, the old St. Louis Browns. Along with Tommy Harper.
Oh, boy. Some of those old-timers.
2-2 to Harper.
Guess they'd be saying that about me after a while, won't they?
That's right. You remember old Bob Gibson? Used to pitch in the 50s and 60s and 70s.
My God, it was the 50s and 60s and 70s.
3 decades for you.
I started when I was 12.
Yeah. Orioles batting in the bottom of the 6th. They trailed 2-1. Kansas City with 1 in the 2nd, 1 in the 5th, and Baltimore 1 in the 4th. 3-2 to Tommy Harper. And, oh, he takes a close one. Ball 4. Martinez says, come on. The catchers always keep their back to the ump and talk over the shoulder.
Yeah, they better do that because if they turn around, they're out of there.
And the umpires resent it because it's like they're showing them up.
Right. You can yell at the umpire. You can say all kinds of things, but don't turn around.
See Martinez there? You think he's not talking to Joe Brinkman? So Harper, the first walk of the ball game, leading off the 6th inning, and here's Grich, who's 1 for 2. Harper has stolen 4 bases in 6 attempts this season. Pretty good lead for Harper. Hassler looking in for the sign. There you see Lee May at first base. He represents the tying run. Billy Hunter, the third base coach. Joe Morgan's got a shot at 30. Well, he already has over 40 stolen bases, and he's got 26 home runs. He could do it. Pitch to Gritch is high. You ever have a base runner talk to you, Bob, after throwing over so many times? They cut it out or anything?
No.
No.
I never talked to them, and they never talked to me.
Billy Hunter with the signs. Perhaps Harper with his lead off first. One ball pitch to Gritch. Right center field. It's between him. It'll roll to the wall. Harper will score. Gritch around second and holds up with a stand-up double. It's a 2-2 ball game.
Warner, that's exactly what I was talking about. You keep throwing that ball over to first, you lose concentration on that guy at home plate, and that's what happened.
All right, watch it again.
Ball right down the middle of the plate. Because they hit out there in right center, nobody can get to it.
Between Otis and Cowens, Harper scores from first. It's 2-2, and here's Reggie Jackson. Gritch at second. Gritch's 25th double of the year. His 44th run batted in. Jackson, 1 for 2 tonight. Looking for RBI number 80.
You know, in this situation here, ordinarily you might even want to walk Reggie Jackson, but if you do,
you got
Lee May coming up there.
You saw Tommy Harper on the Oriole dugout after scoring the tie. Look at the bugs. See the bugs around Gritch? There's Jackson. Look at those bugs. Get some spray out there. The pitch to Jackson. This will move Gritch to third. So Gritch moves to third with 1 out. Jackson is out 4-3.
That's the way you play the game. You got a man on second base. You don't have any outs. You hit that ball to the right side of the infield.
Here's Lee May now. He has 83 runs batted in. 1 behind the leader, Chris Chambliss. A fly ball now would put May into a tie for the RBI lead. May is 1 for 2. Gritch at third, 1 out. 2-2 ball game. 4 hits off Hassler. 9 off Rudy May. Lee May. There you see Gritch. He represents the lead run. May waving the bat. That'll bring him in. Otis, about 350 feet away. Save your arm, and the Orioles lead 3-2. Sacrifice fly by Lee May. That's his 84th run batted in. He now ties Chris Chambliss for the lead. Gritch scores 3-2 Baltimore. There you see Gritch. There you see Jim Palmer. Here's Singleton. Singleton 0 for 2, but has a run batted in. As he grounded out, Gritch scored from third in the 4th inning. To Kenny Singleton. There you see Lee May, Bobby Gritch, Tommy Harper on top, Paul Blair on the bottom, number 6.
You see a ball club that's 11 and a half, 12 games, whatever, and they love to beat on that first place club in either division. They just love to beat on them. They get out there and play just as hard as if they were trying to win the pennant.
The Sensei in the on-deck circle. Outside the Singleton. So once again, the walk comes back to haunt you. The only walk of the ball game scores the tying run. 2-1 to Singleton. Singleton, former New York Met, former Montreal Expo. Singleton, right field, Cowens, and that's it for Baltimore. Well, the Orioles come through with 2 runs on 1 base hit after 6 complete. Baltimore 3, Kansas City 2.
Hey, you can work all day on this heap. It still won't be worth beans.
It'll look terrific in no time. I got kit.
It's soft.
Yeah, kit's pretty soft. It slides on easy.
Kit liquefies as it hits the finish. Deep cleans, wipes off easy. There's no easier, faster way to get a long-lasting paste wax shine, unless somebody else does it for you.
Hey, how much did you say you want for this?
J-Wax Kit. No wonder it's #1.
You fly a lot closer to the crops than to the clouds. But when those last acres are dusted, you know it's Miller time. Time to head for the best-tasting beer you can find.
It's time to relax.
America's quality beer, Miller High Life.
Miller stands clear, beer after beer. If you've got the time, we've got the beer. Miller beer.
Which Chevy does that old open road boogaloo?
2 + 2 do.
Chevy Monza 2+2. Which Chevy shows that sleek, advanced, aerodynamic voodoo?
2 + 2 do.
Chevy Monza 2+2. Which Chevy's named after the Italian Grand Prix and causes this kind of hullabaloo?
2 + 2 do.
Chevy Monza
2 + 2 do.
Chevy Monza 2+2. Doobie doobie doo.
Rudy May, approaching the 7th inning now, will face Martinez, Wolford, and Otis. Bob, the year you had an earned run average of 1.12. Did you go into each ball game thinking you were going to pitch a shutout?
I think you have to go in any ball game like that in order to be a good pitcher. You go out there with the idea you're going to pitch a shutout, and then when you give up 1 run, that's it. They're not going to get any more runs than that. You have to have that idea.
Martinez 0 for 2 tonight. Flied out and grounded out. John Buck Martinez. Now Martinez and Fitzmaurice are the only original Kansas City Royals who have been with the ball club since they came into existence 8 years ago. Martinez came over from the Houston organization. So only 2 left from the original Royals. Rudy May still in there, giving up 9 hits, and now leads 3-2. Right field, Reggie Jackson coming on, and there's 1 down. That'll bring up Wolford, who's 2 for 3. Wolford a single and a double. (3-2) Baltimore. The Orioles win and the Yanks should lose. The Orioles would trail by 10.5. And perhaps more significantly, as Wolford fakes a bunt, it would also give an opportunity. Oakland would cut it to 7. The pitch to Wolford. And of course, consider that this game will long be over when the Oakland Yankee game starts, so you can bet that Oakland will be watching the scoreboard as they take the field, the result of this game. Wolford almost out of the obliterated batter's box, if you will.
Sometimes that's the reason that those guys will erase that line like Otis does all the time. They'll sneak back a little bit.
The pitch to Wolford.
Of course, the idea there is the further back you are, the longer you get a chance to see that ball.
Right. And get it after it breaks, too.
That's right.
Memorial Stadium. There you see Rudy May. The Orioles came here in 1954 from St. Louis. They, of course, were the St. Louis Browns. 23rd year here in Baltimore for the Orioles. 3-2 to Jim Wolford. Left center. Blair on his horse near the fence. That's it. 2 down. .385 feet away. Paul Blair against the fence.
You know why I think Blair is such a good outfielder? He plays in relatively close, and he has to turn his back, as you see there, and he has to go back over his shoulder for a lot of balls. Most outfielders will play deep, and a lot of times those little base hits in right over the infield will land in there. He'll catch most of those.
See that padding out there in the outfield? The reason they put that in, Harvey Keene was playing the outfield for either Cleveland or Detroit. That padding right there, there was no padding. He jumped on the fence and actually caught his eye on the fence and almost lost his eyesight. The next day they put in the padding. That was about 10 years ago. It's been in there ever since. Two down, and here's Otis. Otis 2 for 3 tonight. Single in the first, struck out in the third, and single in the fifth, and put Kansas City ahead 2-1.
And he's not trying to single right now. He's going for the pump. He wants to hit one out there and tie this thing up.
I would think that would be to the pitcher's advantage, knowing that.
Well, it doesn't mean that you can always get him out, though.
But if you know a man is swinging for the home run, don't you have a better chance of getting him out?
Well, I don't know if you have a better chance of getting him out, but you have a better chance of fooling him. That's not to say that you're going to get him out.
Right. Otis lost about 35 pounds last year, had tonsillitis. George Brett on deck. There you see the third base coach, Chuck Hiller. George Brett led the American League in hits last season. Kenny Brett's younger brother. Two-strike pitch to Otis. Amos Otis. There you see the Oriole alignment, how they play Amos Otis. Otis still only 29 years old. Now in his 7th year. Otis, and that'll be a foul ball. As you can see, a lot of empty seats here in Baltimore. They've been averaging 15,000 per game. They just made $1 million last year on the last day, the last home date. They went over the $1 million mark. Orioles having a rough time attendance-wise. Some people think that it's strictly a football city. Two and 2 to Amos Otis. 3-2 Orioles lead. We're in the top of the 7th in Baltimore. Kansas City trying to assure themselves of holding on to the 8-game lead, depending on what Oakland does later tonight against New York. That'll be Alexander against Norris. Next week, Dodgers and Padres. And if the rotation continues the same, Randy Jones will pitch for the Padres in next Monday night's game. He's already won 20. And the other game, New York and Boston. Otis, ground ball, Belanger. And that's it.
for Kansas City. 1-2-3. A strong inning. A good comeback by Rudy May. So we go to the home seventh now. Baltimore 3, Kansas City 2.
Hello. Hiya, Bill. What'll it be? Soda, shaving cream?
It's my hemorrhoid symptoms, Mr. Edwards. Pain, itching.
Most of my customers use this.
Preparation H?
In many cases, Preparation H gives prompt, temporary relief of occasional pain and itching of hemorrhoidal tissues.
Great.
Preparation H actually helps shrink swelling of hemorrhoidal tissues caused by inflammation.
I'll try it.
Doctor tested Preparation H. Soothes pain and itch for hours. Helps shrink swelling of hemorrhoidal tissues.
Ever since the automobile was invented, people have looked for ways to get more miles to the gallon of gasoline. But Texaco knows one proven way is regular car maintenance and tune-ups with quality Texaco products. Replace spark plugs and points to help keep your car running at its best and to help get the most out of every gallon. This is Bob Hope for Texaco. At Texaco, we're working to keep your trust.
Major League Baseball. That's the all-American dream. It's a dream within the reach of those who have the talent, desire, and determination. You have heard how Major League players have a lot going for them, and it is true.
We have a lot going for us, too. It isn't all easy, but umpires have it pretty good, including family and retirement benefits, and it's going to get better.
Dedication and hard work are vital, but I think you'll agree a Major League Baseball career is worth it.
The preceding a message on behalf of Major League Baseball. That's what it looks like right there. Behind the back, Amos Otis, the center fielder. This is DeCense leading off the Orioles 7th. Baltimore leads 3-2. If Kansas City should lose and Oakland wins, Oakland cuts it to 7 with 32 to play. DeCense 0 for 2 tonight. Grounded out and popped out. From Burbank, California, Doug DeCense. 26 years old. He'll be 26 August 29th. Remember, he was drafted by the Padres, but did not want to play at that time for San Diego and waited for Baltimore to draft him. Doug DeCense. 1-1. The word is that DeCense was almost traded for Rusty Staub before this season. But the Mets said no. They went with Steger. And then, of course, Staub was traded for Mickey Lolich. There you see Mark Belanger, number 7, on deck. 2-2 to DeCense. Andy Hassler. 6'5", 215 pounds, from Texas City, Texas. They picked him up to replace Busby, who, of course, went on the disabled list. 3-2. He walked him. So Hassler walks the second man in 2 innings, and that'll bring up Belanger and possibly Bob Gibson. With a 3-2 lead here in the 7th, we could possibly look for a bunt and perhaps an insurance run by Baltimore. There you see Billy Hunter.
Well, if I were managing a ball club, I sure would get him over to second base some way.
Billy Hunter, who, of course, talk about trades, was involved in the biggest trade in baseball history. There you see Galen Cisco. Now, usually when Cisco goes out, it's merely to talk to the pitcher. Look at that bubble by the Oriole bat boy. Hey, that's going to be bigger than his face. Talking about trades and Billy Hunter. Hunter was involved in the biggest trade in baseball history. Now you see Mark Littell warming up for Kansas City. Brinkman, the umpire, is going to have to walk out and break up this conference. 17-player deal, Billy Hunter. Yankees, Orioles, back in '54. Guys like Turley and Larson, Harry Bird involved in that deal, Triandos, Gene Woodling. 9 for 8 deal, including Billy Hunter, the Oriole third base coach. All right, DeCense at first, Belanger the batter. Brett comes in at third looking for the bunt, and there it is. He takes it for a ball. 3-2, Baltimore leading, looking for an extra run here, which would, of course, take away the bunt from Kansas City, should they score. The Sensei, short lead off first. Belanger is 0 for 2, squares the bunt, misses. How are you as a bunter, Gibby? Could you sacrifice the man along most of the time?
Oh yeah, I was a good bunter.
Yeah.
Of course, when you pitch, you have to learn how to bunt. There's some guys that don't bunt, but not too many pitchers. Most of the pitchers can bunt. There's nothing else to do but learn how to bunt.
George Brett in at third base. Mayberry, of course, will come in from first. 1-1 to Belanger, and he takes it high for a ball. Now, of course, Hassler wants to throw it high because the pitch is hard to bunt.
Well,
not that high, though.
Yeah, a high pitch, usually you have a tendency to pop that thing up, and that's why they want it up there. Usually, you throw it up and in, not up and away. He's getting away a little bit. You throw it up and in, have a tendency to bunt it in the air.
2-1 to Belanger, and he misses the bunt again.
So I'm watching his technique and bunting, and you can definitely tell that he's a hitter. He's not a pitcher, because pitchers know how to bunt. He's trying to bunt that ball with his back behind the plate, and that's not the way to do it.
All right, now. Assuming they take the bunt sign off Belanger with a 2-2 count. The Sensei at first, nobody out. Baltimore leads 3-2. We're in the bottom of the 7th inning. Belanger swing and a miss. The Sensei back to first. So in this case, Belanger fails to do his job of moving the runner up. That'll bring up Paul Blair. Blair's 0 for 2 tonight, struck out and grounded out. Billy Hunter down at third base. Was a shortstop for the Orioles. In fact, when they first came here in '54. One ball to Blair.
Hassler is still throwing real good out here. Of course, it's a cool day, you know, and this cool weather.
Paul Blair, the batter, fouled off. We're in the bottom of the 7th inning as we welcome the people from the Cincinnati-St. Louis ball game. The Orioles lead 3-2. Warner Wolf along with Bob Gibson here in Baltimore. The Sensei at first, 1 out. Blair is the batter. Hassler against Rudy May. Baltimore with 2 in the 6th took the lead 3-2. Significance of the game, of course. If Kansas City should lose and Oakland win, Oakland would cut it to 7. If Kansas City wins and Oakland loses, then Kansas City increases their lead to 9. 1-1 to Blair, and that'll be a base hit in the left field. The Sensei will stop at second. The Royals have runners at first and second and 1 out. The 5th hit off Andy Hassler. Paul Blair at first. Doug DeCinces at second. Duncan, the scheduled Oriole batter. Duncan 0 for 2 tonight. And here comes Whitey Herzog, and that will be it for Andy Earl Hassler. So that's it for Hassler, who leaves after going 6 1/3 innings. So Hassler leaves, leaving 2 runners on base. Hassler after winning 4 in a row, and Mark Littell will come in and try and hold it at least 3-2 for Kansas City. Mark Littell, who has come on strong as a relief pitcher for Kansas City. Now, for those people watching the Reds-Cardinals game, let's go back in that area with Al Michaels. So this is Mark Littell. Littell this season for Baltimore has for Kansas City, as he comes in to face Baltimore, has won 7 and lost 3 and has an earned run average of 1.75 and is one of the big reasons the Royals are in first place. We'll be back in just a moment.
I remember the feeling the first time he held me in his arms. And the best thing is, I still feel the same way today.
It shouldn't matter that you wear dentures, not if you use new formula Polident. We've added more cleansers to Polident, more oxygen whitener, and a unique penetrating ingredient, all to make this new formula the best cleaning Polident ever. So you can stay close, as always. New formula Polident. We want you to stay close.
How well does your denture adhesive hold at 7 hours? This powder denture grip is designed to hold with a long-lasting plastic formula. In fact, when compared to the leading powder adhesive, an independent clinical test showed denture grip held up to 40% stronger at the end of 7 hours. How well does your denture adhesive hold at 7 hours? Try denture grip. Compared to the leading powder adhesive, denture grip holds up to 40% stronger at the end of 7 hours.
There you see Freddie Patek standing next to Doug DeCinces. You know, Patek, little guy, 5'4", gets a lot of letters from little kids all over the country.
The thing that I read most of all in the letters is their rejection because they are so small. I think this kind of tends to hurt them. They hurt themselves because they feel this. I think if they had a positive attitude saying that if given the chance, I'm going to go out and show them that I can do the job. And if I can do it, I'm going to make the team. And if I can't, well, at least I was given a chance, and, you know, that's that.
Freddie Patek. All right, this is Mark Littell coming in for Kansas City. This is his 3rd year with the Royals. He was 2-5 last year. Underwent surgery to remove a bone chip in his elbow. And he's come back this year 7-3. 23-year-old Mark Littell. DeCinces at second. Blair at first, 1 out. Baltimore leads 3-2. This is Duncan, who's 0 for 2. DeCinces and Blair, of course, are the responsibility of the outgoing pitcher, Andy Hassler, who cannot win this game. He can only lose it. At best, he gets off the hook. Mark Littell. They call him Country. 1 strike pitch to Duncan is high.
It was odd to me to see Duncan swing at that first pitch. Here a guy comes in on the bullpen. You haven't seen him yet. And it seems to me with the guys on first and second, maybe the possibility of scoring a run, you take a look at a pitch or so. Boy, he went hacking right away.
Of course, Duncan might say, well, I thought he'd try to get the first one over.
Undoubtedly, he'd say that.
DeCinces at second, Blair at first, 1 out. 1-1, and there goes DeCinces. The throw to third. He is out. The Orioles on the attempted double steal. DeCinces, the head man, is thrown out at third.
You know, here's another shot of that double steal. Baltimore had nothing to lose by that. The guy got thrown out going to third base, and they still have a man in scoring position at second. So that was a pretty good play, I thought.
The only thing they lose is, of course, instead of 2 shots at it, now it's all up to Duncan. But as you point out, Gibby, that's right, they still have a man in scoring position.
If they were behind, they wouldn't have tried that.
No. So Blair goes to second. 2 outs. 2 ball, 1 strike pitch to Duncan. Oh! Littell came up as a starting pitcher, and there was a question whether he could take the everyday wear and tear as a relief pitcher following surgery. He has proved that he can. 2-2 to Duncan with Blair at second. Harper on deck. Should Duncan get on? Baltimore leads 3-2. Oakland and New York will start in about 1 hour. Alexander against Norris. Blair at second. 2-2 to Duncan. Almost went for an outside pitch. Cardinals lead the Reds 6-1 in the 8th inning. So the Cardinals, 2 straight weeks hitting the Reds on ABC Monday Night Baseball. Three and 2 to Duncan. Blair at second, 2 outs in the Orioles 7th. Left field, Wolford has it in range, and that's it. The Orioles do not score and lose a golden opportunity. A good relief job by Mark Littell. 3-2 Baltimore after 7.
Here's your car battery. Add water. Keep it clean. It lasts an average of 38 months. Here's the battery that will make yours obsolete. The J.C. Penney battery. It started a revolution in car batteries. You never have to add water. It's so powerful, it's fully warranted for as long as you own your car. If it fails, return it. We'll replace it free. Only at J.C. Penney Auto Centers or catalog desks. It's the last battery your car will ever need.
Mileage is important, whether you're taking a trip or running errands. So you should know that the 1976 Vega wagon is rated at 35 miles per gallon in the EPA highway test, 24 cities. Remember, EPA ratings are estimates, and your mileage may vary. Price is important, too. And the basic Vega wagon is the lowest priced 76 wagon built in America. See your Chevy dealer about a Vega wagon from America's family station wagon builder.
I'm Pete Rhodes. They say I'd rather play baseball than eat. That's not quite true, but it's close. Where can you have more fun than at a ballpark, whether you're playing or watching? It's a place where you can take the whole family. A baseball game offers something for everyone. There's fun, there's excitement, there's suspense, clean air, friendly neighbors, and good food, too.
Preceding a message on behalf of Major League Baseball. And don't forget, next week, once again, the Dodgers and Padres. And if the rotation goes accordingly, Randy Jones will pitch for the Padres on Monday Night Baseball next Monday night here on ABC. Also, the Yankee-Red Sox game from New York. Now, the Orioles have made a change. They have put Tim Nordbrook at first base. Lee May is out of the ball game. There you see young Tim Nordbrook, who grew up in the Baltimore area. The Royals here in the 8th inning will send up Brett McRae and Mayberry. Excuse me, I believe I said Nordbrook at Muser. Correction, Muser at first base for Baltimore. Tony Muser. Brett tonight 0 for 3. Came into this game hitting at .333. So put Muser at first base, replacing Lee May. And excuse me for the correction. Apologize to all the Tim Nordbrook fans. Brett due for a hit tonight. Of course, anytime a guy's hitting .333 this late in the season, and he's 0 for 3 and up for the 4th time without a hit, he is due. Goes to the opposite field. Singleton coming on. He's got it.
Brett's having a hard time. He set out a couple of games because he wasn't hitting. He thought he'd get his timing back, and it seemed like when he hits the ball good, they're making good catches on him. He just can't catch a break right now.
Here's McRae, 0 for 3. Came into this game hitting at .355. Kansas City trails 3-2 in the 8th. The Oriole bullpen, Dyer Miller and Tippy Martinez. Outside to McRae.
They'll be trying to keep that ball away from these guys so they won't be able to tie this thing up with a home run.
1-2. 2-1. 2 balls and a strike.
Not that far away.
No, no. Rudy May still in there. 9 hits he has given up. Fly ball left field. Another easy play for Singleton. 2 down. So the secret tonight of Rudy May, Brett and McRae, coming into this game, hitting .333 and .355 respectively, have gone 0 for 8 combined. And that is why Rudy May holds a 3-2 lead despite giving up 9 hits. Mayberry, 1 for 3 tonight, singled in the 4th inning. Right field. Jackson over. Mayberry is going to try for 2. And the throw into second, a 2-base hit for Mayberry, backed up by DeCinces. Reggie didn't exactly put on full speed for that 2-base hit down the right field line, Bob.
I think he was worried about that ball ricocheting off of that wall out there. We take another look at that. Mayberry hit that ball, and it was pretty close down that line there. If the ball hits that wall and ricochets past him, then he's going to get in there for a triple. So he took his time. Of course, Mayberry went in second base with a double.
I guess in defense of Jackson, as he takes a little refreshment from his pocket.
The ball down in that corner is just about automatically a double.
And also, I guess, of course, he's very familiar with the, shall we say, speed of John Mayberry.
Right.
So Mayberry now the tying run at second base, and here's Cowens, who's 2 for 3, single and a double. Mayberry tying run at second. 2 outs in the Kansas City 8th. Cowens up the middle. Grich, backhand, long throw to first, safe. Mayberry goes to third. So Grich, although not throwing out Cowens, did stop the ball from going through and preventing Mayberry from scoring the tying run.
Carlos May is a little unhappy about that. He made a real good pitch on the hitter, and the guy was lucky enough to hit the ball in front of the plate and took that big high hop. Nobody could do anything about it.
Now, Rudy May has now given up 11 hits.
Here's that ball bouncing off that plate. Didn't land until it was behind second base. There's nothing you can do about it.
I'll tell you what, if that's AstroTurf, if this game is played in Kansas City, that's a base hit to center field.
Well, I tell you what, and the run would have scored.
So Kansas City now, with Mayberry at third, Cowens at first, Frank White the batter. He's 2 for 3, a single and a double. He knocked in the first run of the ball game. And Frank wants a new bat. I think he had too much pine tar on there, and Joe Brinkman, the umpire, made him wipe it off.
Yeah, there's a certain length that you can go down the bat with pine tar. And if you get it down too far, they will make you wipe it off.
Munson had a base hit against Minnesota last year, and they nullified the base hit. Minnesota complained his pine tar was too high on the bat. So Kansas City, runners at first and third, 2 outs, 8th inning. Kansas City trails 3-2. Right side, Grich backs up, throw to first. That's it. The Royals do not score with a single and a double. We go to the bottom of the 8th. Baltimore 3, Kansas City 2.
There
is an evil that lurks at the end of the day. That evil is the shadow. It creeps up and makes your face rough and ugly. But the Gillette Track 2 fights the shadow. Its twin blade shave lasts long. The first blade stretches the whisker out so the second blade can shave it again. Closer. And a closer shave means a longer lasting shave. The Gillette Track 2 shave with regular or adjustable cartridges can outlast the shadow.
Papermate has invented the unstoppable pen. Leather can't stop this Papermate. Cloth can't stop this Papermate. Even gravity can't stop this Papermate from writing. Because it's the only pen in the world with a tiny ink pump that forces ink to the point.
You just can't stop it. You just can't stop it. You just can't stop it. Papermate.
Papermate, the unstoppable pen.
As we see Tommy Harper in the Oriole dugout, a reminder this Saturday on ABC's Wide World of Sports, the 300-mile late model stock car race from the famed Daytona International Speedway in Daytona Beach, Florida. Also, Wide World of Sports will be in Philadelphia for the National AAU Weightlifting Championships, featuring competition in the heavyweight and super heavyweight classes. Plus, from the Royal Lytham and St. Anne's Golf Club in England, you'll be seeing this year's Curtis Cup Golf Championship. That's ABC's Wide World of Sports this Saturday, 5 o'clock Eastern and Pacific, 4 o'clock Central Time over most of these ABC stations. Al Bumbry will come on here in the Oriole 8th inning. And bat for Tommy Harper. So Bumbry off the bench. Bumbry hitting at .266. Remember, he had the great rookie season. Good bunter, Al Bumbry. Bobby Grich on deck. Cardinals have beaten the Reds 7-1. They beat them 9-5 last week. Denny, 2 straight weeks beating the Reds. How about that? McEnany the loser. So the Reds lead is cut to 8.5. The Dodgers are idle. The Dodgers do not play. They now trail by 8.5. And if I'm not mistaken, it's 7 in the loss column. 3-2 to Al Bumbry. Alonzo Benjamin Al Bumbry. He's got it. So Littell, who came on in the 7th inning, strikes out Bumbry. Here's Grich, who's 2 for 3, singled and doubled, knocked in the tying run. One out here on the bottom of the 8th, 3-2 Baltimore. If you're looking ahead to the Kansas City 9th, it'll be Patek, Martinez, and Wolford. Unless Whitey Herzog goes to the bench. 2 balls to Bobby Grich. There you see Reggie Jackson.
Well, this Littell throws really hard. He's got a good slider. Best pitch is fastball, and he's bringing it right now.
Three 3-0 to Grich. And Littell walks off the mound.
One problem these pitchers have when the weather gets a little cool like this is that they try to overthrow because they feel real strong.
He lost him. So Gritch walks, and that'll bring up Jackson. And listen to that. Now they cheer Reggie Jackson. Well, I guess it depends who comes to the game on which night.
I think there's a few boos in there, too.
Were you ever booed, Bob, at home?
Once. I went out there, and I was pitching, and in 2/3 of the innings, the score was 11-0.
Against you?
Against me, and when I walked off, they booed me. I tipped my hat, and then they cheered.
Rich at first with one out. Jackson hitless tonight, or rather 1 for 3. 4-3 if you're scoring. Rich goes to second, 2 down, and that'll bring up Lee May. So Jackson goes 1 for 4. You gave up 11 runs in 2/3 of an inning?
Well, actually, I didn't give up 11. When I left the game, the score was 8-0, and I had 2 men on, and Nelson Briles came in behind me and gave up a home run, and it made 11. And those 2 runs were mine, though.
At least you can't accuse the manager of yanking you too fast.
He didn't have time to warm anybody up.
Oh, I see. Here's Muser, who came on for Lee May in the previous inning. Muser, of course, came over from the White Sox last year in the Jesse Jefferson deal. Muser hitting at .225. Muser, unfortunately, excellent fielding first baseman, but has always played behind good hitting first baseman. Scott, Richie Allen, Lee May. 282 lifetime coming into this season. Tony Muser with Gritch at second and 2 outs. Littell came on in the 7th inning with 1 out and 2 on and got the Orioles out with any damage. There you see Reggie Jackson. Finishes the night 1 for 4 unless Kansas City ties the game. Boy, Littell looks fast.
Well, they don't have many people here, but they're making a lot of noise.
1 ball, 2 strikes to Tony Muser. Gritch at second, 2 outs, 3-2 Baltimore. Bottom of the 8th. That does put the Dodgers only 7 down on the loss column. With the Reds losing and the Dodgers idle. It's 8.5, but it's 7 in the loss column. And that, of course, is where it's all at. In that loss column. You can't make up the losses, as they say.
Sparky Anderson said they will not catch him. There will be nothing like that.
All right. 1-2 to Muser. Pops him up. Brett calls. That's it. So the Orioles do not score on the 8th. We go to the top of the 9th. It's Baltimore 3, Kansas City 2. We'll be back with more baseball after this word from our local station.
This is ABC.
Thursday night, September the 9th, ABC ushers in its 11th consecutive season of the NCAA college football from Tempe, Arizona, as the Sun Devils of Arizona State host the Bruins of UCLA. Arizona State, of course, ranked number 2 in the nation, undefeated, untied in 75, and victors over Nebraska in the Fiesta Bowl, facing the defending Rose Bowl champion UCLA. So that's the premier NCAA college football, live Thursday, September the 9th. This is Davey Nelson. Nelson pinch hitting for Freddie Patek. Nelson, of course, has played with the Cleveland Indians, was with the Washington Senators, and now with the Rangers. Nelson hitting a .233. Nelson right at Belanger. Guns him down, and there's one down in the 9th.
Now they put Nelson in there to hit a home run. That's the only reason they would pinch hit for Patek. And to me, it seems like he'd have to go down either hitting a fly ball or falling on his face swinging at it.
He's only hit one home run, Bob.
Well, they shouldn't have put him in there then.
This will be Cookie Rojas off the bench. So Rojas will bat for Wolford. Here's a guy that's been around. I guess you faced him many times, Bob.
Oh, yeah, and Cookie also played with us for a couple of years over there with the Cardinals. He's been around a long time. Good ball player. He's a good second baseman. He's not going to hit many home runs, but he moves that ball around pretty well.
So Rojas pinch hitting for Martinez. Rojas hitting a .230. Just a reminder, this game telecast under television rights granted by Major League Baseball solely for the entertainment of the viewing audience. Any publication, reproduction, retransmission, or other use of the pictures, descriptions, and accounts of this game without the explicit written consent of Major League Baseball is prohibited. Any commercial or other use of the program, such as charging admission for its showing, is similarly prohibited. 1-1 to Octavio Cookie Rojas. 37-year-old Cookie Rojas. 16th year in the majors.
And Cookie has been 37 years old for about 37 years.
Came up with the Reds, traded to the Phillies, Cardinals, Curt Flood deal, to the Royals. $264 a lifetime. 2-2 to Cookie Rojas. Otis is on deck. Rudy May working on a neat 11-hitter. Pitch to Rojas, make it 12 hits. Base hit, pinch hit, single for Cookie Rojas. May has now given up 12 hits. He's still in there.
It's not the number of hits, it's the number of men that come across that plate.
Rupert Jones will pinch run for Rojas. A gain of about 15 years there. Rupert Jones only 22, Rojas 37.
Number 30, Rupert Jones.
So Rupert Jones, young gentleman they called up from the minor leagues. There you see number 23, Tippy Martinez. Came over, of course, in the Yankee deal.
I don't understand. This would be a perfect time if you're going to change pitchers. Maybe it's because he wants to keep that left-handed pitcher looking at the man on first. I really don't know.
Dyer Miller, the right-hander. Wolford, 2 for 4. Rudy May, long, he's got it on the play. Rupert goes to second. So, with 2 outs, the Royals have the tying run at second base, and it's all up to Amos Otis. A high bouncer, and again, Bob Gibson, if this is AstroTurf, that is a base hit for Wolford.
That's right. That ball would have gone way over third baseman's head. Rudy made a real good play out of that, turn around and throw him out. It's something you have to do, though, if you're going to win. The ball bounces around there, and once you let go of that pitch, you're no longer a pitcher, you're an infielder. You got to learn to do something with it.
That's right. All right, this is Otis. Otis 2 for 4, single and a double. Came into this game hitting at .294. Keep in mind, Otis 14 for 38 against Baltimore. 14 for 38 in the 10 games head-to-head against Baltimore. I think maybe Bob Gibson, if I had to pick one guy, considering Brett and McCray are 0 for 8 tonight, This is the guy I'd want up if I was Kansas City.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Rupert Jones, the tying run at second base with 2 outs. A base hit, and he scores. Rudy May hanging on. He's given up 12 hits, 2 outs in the 9th. There it goes, center field. Blair back. He's got it in range. The ball game's over. So Rudy May wins a 12-hitter. Kansas City loses, and if Oakland wins tonight, the Kansas City lead, which was once 12, will be cut to 7 games.
Want to lift America? Climb into a 76 Camaro. Camaro is a driver's car. Low in profile and wide between the wheels. A spirited, responsive road car that feels as good as it looks. A lift America, not just a ride. Sample it yourself. Test drive a spirited 76 Camaro at your Chevrolet dealers now.
You know, it used to take 43 marked throne beer baseball cards to get 1 call for Rilla. So I was surprised when the light beer people called me to do this commercial. I mean, I do drink light beer, and it tastes great. It's got 1/3 less calories than their regular beer, and it's less filling. But, you know, I'm kind of worried, because if I do for light beer what I did for baseball, I'm afraid their sales might go down.
Light beer from Miller. Everything you always wanted in a beer, and less.
This is ABC.